the customers needed for MSPs to just stand still from a profitability point of view means you've got to work twice as hard to get the customer. And I think everybody will agree getting a customer is one of the hardest things to do. So.
I want to call our next speakers. They'll have a short interview, and the title, let's put them on the elevator already, and the title is Stop Losing Money Between Quote and Invoice, the MSP-ready way. Are you guys coming up? Elevator? Huh, Billy.
Where are they?
Yeah, you want to...
What do they look like?
Yeah, I think you'll know. You'll know, Billy.
Let me just have one more try.
Are you still cleaning up?
I'm trying to find them.
Okay, okay. Oh man, he's not taking instructions, this guy. He'll be there tomorrow too. I have to be patient. Yeah. Alrighty. Okay, that sounds good. And yeah, Billy seems to be ready. Shall we try again to put them on the elevator? Yeah, it worked. Ladies and gentlemen. Finally. Oh man. Hi. You made it. Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Murphy and Labrini Bena, welcome on stage.
Thank you.
Hello,
Oh, yeah.
everyone.
I'll get it to you.
Right, thank you.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Labrini Bena, Product Marketing Manager here at Infiterra, the subscription commerce platform built specifically for MSPs. So today, I'm joined by Scott Murphy, our Director of Strategic Solutions, who spent the past 25 years working side by side with MSPs like you, which is impressive considering how young he looks.
I don't know about that, Labrini, but thank you. So yeah, pleasure to be here today. And yeah, thank you, Labrini, for her kind words. And yeah, as Labrini says, I've spent 25 years in the industry working with MSPs, working with vendors like Acronis for many years, for distributors like Ingram Micro, etc. So hopefully got some insights and best practices to help you MSPs.
Yes, so today we're going to unpack the biggest challenges MSPs are facing in the subscription economy and how leading providers are protecting profitability. So, Scott, shall we dive in?
Yes, let's.
I'll start with the first question.
Thank you.
So, MSPs today face shrinking margins, constant vendor and distributor changes, and customers who expect everything instantly. Why is this such a critical issue right now?
Yeah, no, it's a great point, Labrini, and it's apologies, getting a little bit of feedback. So yeah, MSP margin, we see is definitely under pressure, as you can see here by the iceberg effect. The shrinking margins, and MSPs don't realise the margin that's being left on the table once you've won a customer based on, all of the business moving to subscription business. Microsoft led it many years ago with CSP, but lots of other vendors are following suit. Vendors are pushing a lot more compliance and requirements, and there's just a lot more complexity, so there's 20 to 30% being lost out of that business.
Yeah, and when margins are already razor thin, even small cracks can become big losses, which brings us to the question, where exactly is the money slipping away?
Yeah, so we see it in three areas really. So if you look here, revenue loss, 20 to 30%, as I mentioned earlier. So there's time wasted by sales teams and finance teams just fixing reconciliation and quoting. And then, the customers needed for MSPs to just stand still from a profitability point of view means you've got to work twice as hard to get the customer. And, I think everybody will agree getting a customer is one of the hardest things to do. So.
Scott, can we share a real example of how this looks in practice?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good thing to do. So we've got a number of MSPs, which I'll show you in a second, but there's one particular MSP that's based in the UK. There are about 150 end customers, doing $5 million in recurring subscriptions. And before they worked with Infiterra, you know, it was taking them at least 2 days to turn a quote round. By the time the sales team found the pricing, worked out what pricing to offer to the customer, you know, the invoices were being disputed because when the customers were placing the orders, the finance team weren't too sure what there was billing, when there was billing based on waiting for the vendor bills, and the renewals was about 82%. Since they've moved over to Infiterra, you can see on the screen that you know, the quotes is now as little as 3 hours at times, 90% fewer disputes, so you know, they're getting the cash paid by their customers a lot quicker, plus a much happier customer, which in turn has a knock-on effect for the renewal rate, and overall they grew about €250,000 of additional revenue. Thank you, Labrini. So yeah, and I mentioned other customers, right? So it's, you know, this isn't just a one-off customer. So you know, you can see a number of different MSPs that we work with. These are customers of Infiterra that are using our platform to modernise their billing. And you can see there's MSPs, telcos and distributors on there as well, some of the leading names in the market.
Great. So, Scott, if we think about this as 4 leaks in a bucket, what are they?
Yeah, so as you can tell, we like a good analogy. I've started off with the iceberg, and now we'll talk about the bucket. So, but it's a really good analogy, right? Because if your quotes are slow to get out to your customer, you know, that creates frustration at the customer level. You start to become, you know, less likely. If you think I mentioned earlier, you need 2 times the customers just to stand still. You then move and the prices are wrong. You get the negativity around that in terms of the customer perception, but also you're impacting your margin that you're doing with the customer. You then got billing errors because the pricing was wrong. You may not pick that up, which means that you're eating away at revenue that you've already won, right? So you're leaving margin on the table. And then from a renewal perspective, you know, really being able to manage that churn and identify the trends in your customers based on the subscriptions is really, really important. So, you know, all of those 4 things combined really become a real silent margin killer.
Yeah, that sounds like a huge loss for MSPs.
Absolutely.
Which brings us to the next question. How do the most successful MSPs stop losing money here? Yeah,
so, you know, the successful MSPs using Infiterra, you know, if you look across the top there, it's not just about margin loss, right? So, you know, it's about driving profitable growth. And we help MSPs do that through package solutions and bundles, being able to, the MSP to be able to offer their own services, plus, you know, Acronis and Microsoft and other vendor services, providing a world-class customer experience to their customers, but as well to their internal teams, and helping them drive scale through automation. And the 3 pillars that we talk about is, you know, unified quote to bill. So we take care of that whole process. We automate from quotation, billing, reconciliation and renewals, and we enable the MSP to stay flexible. So what I see is there's a lot of MSPs that may work directly with one vendor, may work with a distributor for a certain vendor, and another distributor for another vendor. You know, one of the great uniques about our products is because it's such a open API integrated products, we can enable the MSPs to work with any supplier to get the best deal for them and their customer.
And in your experience, what happens when MSPs adopt this way of working?
Yeah, so if you think about the little case study that was shown earlier, and kind of unpack that a little bit more, you know, what I shown earlier was kind of some real results that MSP sees, but on average, 90% fewer billing disputes. And that's not just about the revenue loss that's associated with a billing dispute, it's the time that's taken from, again, negatively impacting the customer experience, but also the time in the teams. Predictable and profitable renewals, right? So, you know, I said earlier on in a question that, you know, getting a new customer is one of the hardest things for people. And I just actually heard the end of that speaker before talking about actually sweating, you know, more out of the existing customers, right? So renewals is really, really key. And then the ability to drive faster quoting. So give the customer what they want very quickly, accurately, first time.
So if there's one message, only one, you want every MSP here to take back to their business, what is that?
Yeah, so to boil it down into one is that, you know, profitability isn't just about selling more. It's absolutely about growing your business and selling more, but it's not just about that. It's about protecting what you've already earned. And, you know, if you start to using platforms like ours as Infiterra, driving automation, you can plug those gaps in that bucket and increase your profitability without the need of growing more customers.
Thank you, Scott. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We hope we gave you a few ideas of how you can grow your profitability. We'd love to keep the conversation going, so please come to our booth. A9 will be there all day tomorrow. So stop by, say hi, and let's keep the conversation going. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.